So today I'm going to be discussing why I think marijuana should be legalized. $75,560. That is what it costs in the state of California to keep one inmate in federal prison for a year. That is more than it would cost to send a student to Harvard for that same year. Many people will argue that it's a gateway drug. We're going to get into that here in a little bit as well. Marijuana has many different uses other than to just get people high as a recreational drug. Medical uses, it can be used for anorexia, cancer, people that have chronic pain, severe nausea, migraines. It still has laws with the medicinal use for it. It has to be prescribed by a doctor who is licensed to prescribe the marijuana. It's not allowed in schools. It's not allowed anywhere where tobacco is not allowed. It falls under those same kind of guidelines. You can't operate a vehicle under the influence of it, stuff like that. Now, it can also be used in different types of materials. You can make fuel out of it. You can make oil. You can make paper. You can make clothes, rope. Earlier back in the days, over half of the paper, including Bibles and everything else, was made out of paper that was from hemp, marijuana plants. If it was legalized, this would cut down on the amount of people in jail. According to the Department of Justice, at any given time, there's 41,000 people in the federal prison system strictly for marijuana charges, whether that be from possession, distributing, whatever it is. So if you take that 41,000 people on average, any given time, times $75,000 a year to house them, that's over $3 billion a year that we're spending, that taxpayers are spending just to keep inmates in jail, which over half of those 41,000, they have no other prior convictions, no other criminal offenses other than that marijuana offense that they have. They say it's a gateway drug. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, the majority of people do not use harder substances that use marijuana. So that's a myth, that it's a gateway drug to harder drugs, that if you smoke marijuana, you're going to move on to cocaine or crack or meth or whatever. That's just a myth. The majority of people that use marijuana do not move on to harder drugs. The second thing is marijuana has the same effect on people moving on to harder drugs as alcohol and nicotine does. They operate the same, and if you drink alcohol or use tobacco, you're just as likely to move on to a harder drug as if you smoked marijuana. Now, some of the financial benefits. It would benefit the country tremendously, I believe, financially, just based off of how much money we would get in taxes. There's a CNN Money article that's in 2017, marijuana sales in the few states that have legalized marijuana for whatever reason, they made over $9 billion in sales. That same article, it says that out of that $9 billion, $1.4 billion went back to the government in taxes that were paid. So it's just would help the country out tremendously. Most of that money in those states went back to fixing roads or education, different programs like that could really benefit from that extra money. It would cut down on the amount of money that we're spending on keeping people in prison, feeding them every day. Our kids are at school paying for lunches, and the inmates are over there getting free lunches that we're paying for, and some of them, in my personal opinion, just shouldn't be in there.